Are turning in short stories, poems, personal narratives, and something about them just feels flat. It's not technically wrong, just empty. The structure is there, the vocabulary is fine, the grammar is nearly perfect, but the spark is gone. The voice is missing, and the emotional risk that should define creative writing, absolutely nowhere to be found. Why? That's because students are using AI as their ghostwriter, not their creative partner. And that is a problem. And in this episode, we're going to rebuild what creative writing could look like in your classroom, not by banning AI, but by redesigning the assignment, the process, and the teacher's role so that students are required to make decisions, take risks, and reflect on what they're actually trying to say. We're going to talk about the process. We're going to talk about transformation. And we're going to make it very, very, very difficult for students to cheat because the structure of the work will demand personal thinking. That's something that AI cannot replicate. So let's start with a mindset shift. Creative writing in the AI era cannot be a one shot task. No more write a short story and turn it in. That model has officially expired. Your role is no longer just to assign and grade. Your role now is to coach the creative process, to guide students in using AI for inspiration, for structure, and support, but not for soul. And that begins with one big truth: AI can help you generate ideas, but it cannot generate meaning. So here's what the new creative writing process can look like in the classroom. Phase one is curiosity and prompting. The student starts with a basic story seed. I want to write a story about someone who can't tell dreams from reality. Instead of writing code or copying AI, we teach students to script 3 to 4 powerful AI prompts to explore possibilities. So, for example, give me 3 different ways to start a story where the main character struggles to tell if they're dreaming. What are some internal conflicts a character might face in that situation? Describe a dreamlike setting in one paragraph. What's a surprising plot twist that could happen in this story? Then the student documents which AI responses sparked something and why. Which ones didn't feel right? What direction do they want to take that feels original? Right away, they're not copying, they're choosing. They're filtering, they're starting to think like a writer. Phase two is planning with purpose. From the ideas they generated, students build a custom outline or story map. Here's the key though: they must annotate their outline with why they're making each choice. So, for example, I chose this opening scene because I want the reader to feel disoriented just like the character. Or I'm going to include a moment of silence before the twist so the reader has time to reflect. This phase reveals intent, something AI cannot produce without a human prompt and purpose. And if a student skips this phase and just pastes the story, it will be obvious. The paper will be clean but hollow. The annotations won't match, and the thinking will not be there. Phase three is writing with reflection. So students now write the first draft, but it's not a free for all. Here's the structure: students are allowed to use AI to help with sentence structure, tone checks, or even get unstuck during writer's block, but they must track when and how they use it. For every section AI contributed to, students must respond. What did you change, revise, or push back on, and why? So here's an example. I used AI to help describe the setting, but it felt too cold, so I rewrote it to add more emotional tone based on the character's fear. This is the heartbeat of integrity in creative writing, which is agency. Students are not being told not to use AI, they're being required to think critically about what it gave them and what they decided to keep or change, and that's the difference. Phase four is voice check and authenticity reflection. So before submitting their final piece, students must complete a voice check where you're asking, what do you hope your reader feels when they read this? What's the most personal or risky part of this story, and why did you include it? What did AI help you discover, And what did it almost make you forget? These questions are critical because they remind students and you that storytelling isn't just about plot, it's about vulnerability. It's about making creative choices AI could never make because it doesn't live in their skin, their community, or their context. And if the reflection is shallow or disconnected from the story, you are going to know. Because if they can't explain why they made certain choices, then you'll know. This is how we design cheat resistant creative writing without playing cat and mouse. Now, let's talk about rubrics. Your rubric must shift from just scoring craft to also scoring process, integrity, and original intent. This is what it can look like. So, the first rubric category is idea generation. We are now looking at the quality of AI prompts, where we're evaluating how thoughtfully students crafted their initial AI prompts to explore creative possibilities. And we're also looking at student reflections, that's assessing the depth of student reflections on their idea development and how they selected which AI generated concepts to pursue. The second rubric category is narrative structure. We're looking at a clear progression of ideas driven by student choices. It should evaluate how well students organize their narrative, assess whether student structure choices reflect student intent rather than AI defaults, and it examines how effectively the structure serves the story's purpose. So the third rubric category focuses on voice and risk taking. And we're looking at the presence of personal insight, tone, and vulnerability. And we're looking to evaluate authentic voice that reflects the student's unique perspective, rewards willingness to take creative risk, and assesses the emotional resonance and personal connection to the writing. So we are looking for 100% authentic voice, writing that sounds like the student and not AI generated, and 75% personal stakes, evidence of student investment in their actual writing. And rubric categories 4 and 5 revolve around documentation and reflection. In regards to AI use, students documenting it, we're looking at transparency about AI usage and student commentary. We're looking that students have clearly tracked when they used AI. There was a thoughtful explanation of why AI was employed and evidence of critical evaluation of AI suggestions. And with the final reflection, we're looking for a depth of insight into what was created and why it matters. We're looking for articulation of personal growth through the writing process, understanding of the work's significance, and recognition of how AI shaped the final product. This gives students space to use AI without being replaced by it. Now, here's the transformation required from us as educators. We must move from evaluating correctness to curating process. We must model what it means to reflect, to revise, and to make meaning. We must stop asking, did they cheat? And start asking, where is the evidence of them in this work? This doesn't just make writing stronger, it makes students stronger, more aware, and more reflective, more capable of using AI, not as a shortcut, but as a scaffold. So if you've been struggling to get students to write from the heart again, to take risks, to care, to try, this is your moment. Let AI be the brainstorming buddy. Let students be the storytellers. Let you be the guide who brings it all together. And in future episodes, we're going to look at how to bring peer collaboration into the AI writing process because students learn just as much from talking through their ideas as they do from typing them out. If this episode sparks something, share it with a colleague. Let's build stories only humans can tell, and let's build better together.